Let us begin with the fourth kingdom, that is kingdom Plantae in the R.H. Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification. We are going to get knowledge about the general characteristics of this kingdom. Secondly, we are going to see the further classifications that this kingdom is having, and finally we are going to see general characteristics of each classification that is further given, that is the further classes of this kingdom. We are going to see examples and general characteristics of each. So on a gross level, what are the general characteristics of this entire kingdom? That means that what would be the criteria for the classification of an organism into this kingdom. There would be certain general characteristics which would be prescribed as per the 5 kingdom classification. And what are those general characteristics? Try to recall your knowledge. We have discussed that any cell which is having a rigid cellulosic cell wall would be classified into the kingdom Plantae. So basically we have three main criteria which is very crucial for the classification of organism into the 5 kingdom classifications system. So what is the first thing? That is, what would be the general characteristics? So the general characteristics would be nothing else but those criteria only which enable an organism to enter the plant kingdom. That is, the first one and the foremost one is that the cell should be eukaryotic in nature, which means that it should have a true nucleus. It should not be like bacteria. Second criteria is that it should have a cellulosic cell wall. Alright. When I say cellulosic cell wall, this cellulose is a rigid component of cell wall which does not allow the cell to move rapidly. That is why plants are non-motile. Otherwise, you must have seen in kingdom Protista and you are going to see in kingdom Animalia that there are certain unicellular organisms and organisms in totality which are multicellular. They are able to move because their cell wall is not rigid or the cell wall is almost absent. So the plants are having cellulosic cell wall. That is why they are non-motile. And the third one is their mode of nutrition, which happens to be autotrophic. Alright, and which autotrophic? Photoautotrophic. Now you have heard about the process of photosynthesis, which is utilizing the sun's light and converting it into the food material, that is in the form of glucose, and this makes plants the primary producers in the ecological context. So these are the 3 general characteristics. If the given cell or organism is having these characteristics, it is to be classified into kingdom Plantae. Alright, this is a simple characterization of plant cell, and there is another characterization. If we get into depth of the cellular organization, we see that all the plants, they are having plastids. Now what are plastids? Plastids are cell organelles which contain pigments, like we see the example of chloroplasts. Alright, so these are signature contents of basically plant cells only. So these are the 4 general characteristics. Don't get into detail of each characteristic. What we have to learn is that these characteristics and the cell would be a plant cell. Now next thing that we have to study is, in this kingdom Plantae, we have further the divisions and classes which are according to further similar characteristics. That means we are getting into the classification. Now I have given you example of arranging the books. Now you have just divided that something is history book, something is biology book, something is chemistry book. You have done the division of sections. Now in those sections you have to put according to the size of the books, or you can say you are taking 1 or 2 characteristics which are similar and then you are making the further divisions. So we have classes and we have divisions. So in case of kingdom Plantae, our kingdom Plantae is divided into further 2 divisions. One is cryptogamy, and other is phanerogamy. Now what does this imply? Cryptogamy are seedless plants. Now you must pay attention to one thing, that seed is formed as a result of sexual reproduction in plants. Whenever there is sexual reproduction, that is 2 gametes, male and female gametes are involved, then there is formation of seed. That means these plants, do not participate in the seed formation, or we can say that their sexual reproduction would not be as advanced as seen in these plants which have seeds. So, these are seed plants. See, every organism has tried to do sexual reproduction. Now, it depends on the organism how advanced that sexual reproduction happens to be. So, in terms of plants also, we have a typical phenomena known as alternation of generation, which we are going to study, but for once you have to see the classification. Now, these cryptogams, they are divided into three parts. First is Thallophyta, that includes algae. Certain books put few fungi over here, you don't have to do that. Then there is another classification, that is Bryophyta. Now, other name is Bryophytes. We use the term Bryophytes for the plants which are part of this. Bryophyta includes mosses and liverworts, and apart from that, they include hornworts. If you're not getting what I'm saying and writing, just try to learn the names. There is two classification level that the plant kingdom would have. We have a broader classification that the plant kingdom would have two types of plants, one which give rise to seeds, others which do not give rise to seeds. Those which do not give rise to seeds, they are Thallophytes, Bryophytes, and the third one is Pteridophytes. Alright, now in these Pteridophytes we have further classifications, that is Psilopsida, Lycopsida, Sphenopsida, Pteropsida. Okay. This is all about the seedless plants. You see many classes over here. There are many plants which are seedless. Simplest example being the algae, which grows in the ponds. There are certain mosses and bryophytic plants which grow whenever there is moisture. You might have seen, and if you have ever been to some brook or river, you might have seen the pebbles and stones, large stones on their sides. They have some grassy outgrowth, that is the bryophytes, and then we have pteridophytes. In our garden we have fern plants which are grown, so those are pteridophytes. Now coming to the seed plants, these are plants which we see generally. There are two types of seed plants. One is Gymnosperms and the other one happens to be Angiosperms. Now these are flowerless plants. They have naked seeds. They are non-flowering plants. And the angiosperms have typically beautiful flowers which you see all around you. Okay. Now when we talk about gymnosperms, there are three classes in gymnosperms as well. That is Coniferopsida. Alright. Then we have Cycadopsida. Then we have Netopsida, which has mostly living fossils in it. And in angiosperms, we have monocots and dicots. Better to write monocotyledony and dicotyledony. So these are the classes of the plant kingdom that we have with us. We are going to revise it. Cryptogamy includes the seedless plants, which further has Thallophyta, primarily comprising of algae, which are seen in oceans, and mostly algae are marine. You won't find algae on land. So these are the simplest of the plant kingdom. They are unicellular, and the next one is Bryophytes. Somewhat plant organization is coming. That means some organs are going to show over here. This is named as Thallophyta because there is thalloid organization. Now when we talked about broader classification of 5 kingdom, we talked about thalloid or mycelium type of structure. Thalloid organization refers to an arrangement where there are cells which are present but they are not organized into a tissue level. So these algae do not have any tissue, they are just having the cells which are present, and thallus formation takes place in the algae. That is why they are thallophytes. Then we have bryophytes, in which we have mosses, liverworts and hornworts. They oftenly grow where there is moisture that is present. And Bryophyta, this particular class is also known as, these bryophytes are referred as amphibians of plant kingdom. Now, why they are referred to as amphibians? You know, what do amphibians do? Amphibians can survive most of the time on land, but when they have to lay eggs or when they have to perform sexual reproduction, they need water. They cannot perform their act of reproduction without water. So is in the case of bryophytes. These are the plants which can survive in terrestrial areas, but they would need water for for the formation of their gametes or for the perennation of their gametes into new offsprings. So this is known as these are known as amphibians of the plant kingdom. That means they would always be found where there would be water source present around them, and we have mosses, liverworts and hornworts present in it. Then coming to the pteridophytes, this is quite a restricted class of plant kingdom. Why? Because they oftenly need shady areas. They do not invest much in their development, because you must have seen these ferns cannot grow in sunlight. They have confined their characteristics to a particular spectrum, and that's why they could not get advanced as advanced the phanerogams got, and as diverse. When I say advanced, that means I am referring to that particular class which is highly diverse in the nature. And for diversity, you need to develop certain characters which make you more adaptable to given conditions. That is part of evolution. But for now, because we take cytological and phylogenetic references in the classification, these pteridophytes, they include the ferns, and these could not get much advanced, but there are certain classes in it, further class division, that is Psilopsida, Lycopsida, Sphenopsida and Pteropsida. Our syllabus confines us to learning the examples of each, and we are going to do that only. Individually, we are going to take each kingdom and understand what are the characteristics and what are the examples, and I would prefer showing you pictorial depiction for that, so that you remember the names, some picture comes in your mind. Then we have phanerogamy. In phanerogamy, the plants are going to have seeds, but the classification further tells that whether the seeds would be enclosed in a fruit or not. Alright, these plants, Gymnospermi, we have the classification as Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. Gymnosperms are those plants which you see. Simplest example is the Christmas tree that you see, the trees that you observe around the forests that are present in hilly areas, that is coniferous. Those coniferous forests are gymnosperms only. So gymnosperms are non-flowering plants. They do not have flowers, so they will not have ovary. When they do not have ovary, they will not have fruits. Their seeds would be naked. So this word itself means, gymno means naked, spermi means seed, so they have the naked seeds, and non-flowering they are further classified Coniferopsida. I just use the term coniferous forest. So there is Coniferopsida, then we have Cycadopsida, and then we have Nitopsida. You go to some place where you find pine trees growing, small pine trees, those are cycas. So that is Cycopsida, and last one is Nitopsida. Nitopsida is a class where mostly you find living fossils. That means maximum of the plants they have died, and 1 or 2 species are left, and they are termed as living fossils. We will come to that when we talk about gymnosperms. Coming to angiosperms, all the flowering plants on the earth, or in the biosphere that we find, they are classified under Angiospermi. There is a lot of classification in this Angiosperm plants. We have families, we have genus, we have species. You would find so many flowering plants around you, and in that classification we further have two classes. One is whether the plant or the seed, let's talk about the seed from which the plant originates, it is having two cotyledons or it is having single cotyledon. In case of two cotyledons, you find all these mango, cherry and rest of the trees, and in case of monocotyledons, you are going to find more of grasses. And minded that in plants, in entire plant kingdom, the most advanced plants phylogenetically, that is in evolution terms, are the monocots, which can survive the most harsh conditions which are going to be present in the certain topological, or you can say topographic areas where rest of them cannot survive, and they have lots and lots of varieties and species under them. And one more thing you have to remember, that it is these bryophytes which go and colonize the places where there is no living form. So these are pioneers in succession. We are going to learn this term under the heading. For now, what you have to remember is what is the classification. This is the broadest classification that we can put into, the plants can be put into, and you have to remember all these by heart. I hope you will understand more when we deal with each of these classes individually.